What's up, guys? You're watching Tech Addiction. It is episode 12. Oh my god, I've been doing this for 12 weeks now. The time just goes by so fast. And we've got some crazy things to cover this week. We've got crazy things every single week to cover when it comes to the world of technology. But you know, it gets a little bit serious when old women are getting tasered by the police for buying too many iPhones. So I talked about it in a couple of other Tech Addiction episodes where patent infringement lawsuits are just running rampant in the country. And so a law professor of the University of Santa Clara in California took it upon himself to do some research about how many patent infringement lawsuits actually involve companies that developed the technology that the patent is being covered under. For instance, I've already said that a lot of companies do nothing more than go out and find technologies that haven't been properly patented, get the patent on it, and then sue the company that actually developed the technology or another company that's using the technology without ever actually developing anything themselves. So this law professor decided he wants to know what the figures look like for these companies that are going out and doing nothing but getting patents, and he found that 61% of the technology infringing patent lawsuits happening in 2012 being initiated by companies and individuals that had never actually developed anything themselves whatsoever. They have absolutely no track record of developing anything, creating anything, or having any sort of intellectual property whatsoever. All they did was realize that something wasn't patented, went out, patented it, and are now suing these larger companies. Now this number, 61% in 2012, is up from 45% in 2011 and up from 23% back in 2010. So you can see a serious trend here where the trolls are really catching on and they're going after legitimate companies when they've never developed anything themselves whatsoever. Oh, and by the way, I heard back from the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, the use of toilet paper now belongs to me. So, you know, I told you that I was gonna get the patent on using paper for wiping your butt. Guess what? Every time you wipe a butt now, cha-ching! Yo, JayzTwoCents a quarter. Speaking of lawsuits, Reuters did a story about a company by the name of Yland that's now suing RIM, or Research in Motion, for apparently infringing on some Bluetooth technology. Now this isn't Bluetooth technology that only RIM is apparently infringing on, it's every single cell manufacturer in the world is apparently infringing on this particular patent, but right now they've set their sights on RIM, which is really interesting considering RIM doesn't have any money. In fact, a lot of you are probably going, what the hell is RIM? I never heard of RIM. Really intense midgets. RIM stands for Research in Motion, and that is the developer of the BlackBerry. I'm sorry if you own a BlackBerry. I don't mean to offend you, but I just can't seem to get that word out all the time, you know, without, you know, losing my dinner. This same company has apparently launched an entire string of patent infringement lawsuits against various companies like LG, Apple, HTC, Samsung, RIM. Obviously, I just talked about RIM. So a few weeks back, I brought you a story about a man in New Zealand who bought $1,600 worth of Apple peripherals off of Apple's website for a mere $35, and how Apple made a mistake and they accidentally severely undercharged for these accessories, and the man bought it up. Well, then Apple went and fetched the package back from UPS and then sent the man a statement saying, sorry, you know, we made a mistake and we're taking the stuff back. It's a good thing that that story went public because you see Best Buy made a mistake where a woman ordered an iPad. She gets her box and there's 5 iPads in there. She's expecting 1 and 5 are in the box. So being the good Samaritan and honest person that she is, she called up Best Buy corporate and let them know about the situation where they had made a mistake and they accidentally sent her $2,000 in extra iPads that she didn't legitimately purchase and she didn't feel right about keeping. So Best Buy corporate wanted a little time to think about it, and they went ahead and emailed her back and said, in the spirit of the holidays, we ask that you go ahead and keep the extra iPads on us as our mistake and keep them, give them out to friends, give them to some charity, donate them to a school, do whatever you want to do with them, but please, in Christmas spirit, keep them. So this is a really neat story where it goes to show how, you know, you're a big company, you make a mistake, and you have an opportunity to look really good in the press, so you look at that as just a cheap $2,000 publicity stunt. Maybe not on purpose, but it had the opportunity of turning it into a great story, and now here they are looking like great, you know, Best Buy, oh, we should go to Best Buy now because they give away free stuff. And how many iPads do you think people ordered now, hoping that maybe they'll get an extra one. Chances are you're not gonna. This really goes to show how you've got a super company like Apple that can look like complete douchebags when it comes to peripherals, and you got another huge company like Best Buy who is willing to eat their mistake and let the customer benefit from their mistake. Good one, Best Buy. This is the way PR should be done. So I use Twitter. I recommend that you all follow me on Twitter. The link is right down there. It's right, at the bottom here where the description is. It's the very first thing. It says, hey, follow me on Twitter. But I've been realizing as I'm using Twitter that, hey, a lot of my pictures are disappearing, and I understand what's happening. I just don't get it. I take pictures, I put them up, and then slowly they're disappearing. And I'm going, what the hell is going on? But then it dawned on me. I use Instagram. And I like to use Instagram because I can take one picture in one place and link it to all my social media at the same time. It saves you a lot of time because you take one picture and it shows up everywhere. Well, apparently because of Instagram's acquireship by Facebook, Twitter isn't too happy about the fact that they're integrating some of Facebook's property into their system. So what they've decided to do is they've removed the code that allows the system to recognize that this is an Instagram photo, and they're now starting to disappear from your Twitter feed. So now instead of opening up somebody's tweet where they have an Instagram photo and it automatically opens, now you just get a link. And no longer will those photos show up anywhere in the Twitter feed or the little recent photos icon there. This is, I guess, okay considering the fact that Twitter now has incorporated some of the filters and effects in their photos. So taking some photographs on Twitter won't be so bad, but I am going to miss the fact that I was able to take a photo in one place and have it show up everywhere. So Gabe Newell, I think that's how you say his name, Newell, N-E-W-E-L-L, who is the boss over at Valve, had a conversation with a blogger over at the VGAs the other day, and he spilled the beans on the fact that they're really looking at pushing their Linux-based Steam system, and once they're done with that, they're really looking at making a living room PC, or better known as a console, designed to compete with next-gen consoles. So in the future, you're going to end up having Xbox, PlayStation, and now the Valve box, or whatever it's going to be called, don't really know, as early as next year. They're really looking to expand their clientele to more than just PC users. When he was asked about how open source his console will be, he was pretty honest and said that, it's going to be a pretty controlled environment where we control a lot of what's happening on the console. But the cool part about this is it's going to allow a lot of console gamers to start playing a lot of Steam games that are not available on console. I think this is really good. It's kind of a hybrid between PC and console, and maybe it's the kind of device that can finally bridge the gap between the two communities, and maybe once and for all just who cares about whether or not your console or your PC? If you get one of these things, you can be both. And you can expect to see something like this coming out next year from Valve. So it turns out there's a little Chinese woman by the name of Ziyouji Li. She lives in Newton, Massachusetts, and she travels up to New Hampshire to take a trip to the Apple Store in the Pheasant Lane Mall. And she bought herself a couple of iPhones online and went and picked them up, and at some point got into an altercation with the store manager and was asked to leave. She wanted to buy more than 2 iPhones, but there's a 2 iPhone limit right now imposed by Apple because of the shortages of the iPhone 5. So she says, fine, screw you, and she leaves. Well, what she does is she goes home and she goes back online and she orders 2 more iPhones and drives again out of state to apparently avoid some of the state taxes, and goes to try and pick up 2 new iPhones. So if you're keeping track, that makes 4 iPhones for this particular customer. Well, the store manager recognizes her and says, no, you are not allowed to get more than 2 iPhones. So what does she do? She takes out her phone and she starts filming everyone. She starts filming everyone in the Apple Store, and this is really pissing off the manager, and he says, why are you filming? And she says, well, apparently through her daughter, because I guess she doesn't speak English, that she's recording other people that she feels are being treated differently because they're buying more than 2 iPhones. So she starts filming, and the manager gets pissed and asks her to leave. And she won't leave. She continues to film and record. So naturally, the police are called, and she gets into an altercation with the police, apparently because of a language barrier. Again, she doesn't speak English, and next thing you know, this is happening. That's right, the mall cops apparently had enough of her lip and decided to go ahead and taser her. All because she wanted to buy more than 2 iPhones and got just a little bit mouthy with the manager, and apparently things get really serious if you go against the almighty Apple. What do you mean? What do you mean I can't have these 4? No. It is time once again for Technology's Dumbass of the Week. This week's Technology Dumbass of the Week is Coley Mitchell. This guy, right here. And trust me, this one's gonna get a little bit weird. Mr. Mitchell here is a lab technician for the Georgia Health Sciences University, working specifically in the Animal Services Department. Wait. Before you start jumping to any conclusions, let me tell you the entire story. Turns out Mr. Mitchell here was found naked, pants around his ankles, drunk, angry, and combative with police officers. and surrounded by monkeys. Officials did say that it didn't appear that any of the monkeys were harmed in whatever happened that night. Something tells me this is one of those times he's gonna wake up the next morning and really regret whatever happened the day before. Maybe this is how the whole Planet of the Apes thing started. But Coley Mitchell, for being a lab technician at the Georgia Health Sciences University's Animal Services Department, for getting drunk, taking off your clothes, and having some sort of a rave, or don't even want to imagine what else, with a group of monkeys, your technology's dumbass of the week. Alright guys, that's it for this week's Technology Addiction. I am your host, JayzTwoCents, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this week's episode. Do me a favor, check out a couple of other episodes, check out a couple of other videos, make sure you're subscribed, follow me on Twitter, and friending me on Facebook for the latest news for what it is I'm doing on YouTube. Thought nothing of it until all of a sudden that afternoon, a random picture popped up on her Facebook. That's this picture that you see right here. Timothy Jackson's sitting there at home in his kitchen. He's going, I've got this bad iPhone now. I'm gonna start taking pictures with it. And what he didn't realize